you're just coming off the end of your TNT title reign. How do you assess it now, and did you accomplish everything you wanted to with that?
Yeah, I personally did. I personally accomplished everything I wanted with that. Like I said earlier, I just wanted to make that championship mean more than the heavyweight championship. And in my eyes, with what we were doing on TV towards the tail end, I think a lot more people were talking about the TNT championship. And that was just in my eyes,
Yeah.
And I put everything out there, like everything I had to prove that with my body and everything. So
did you feel that this was the right time to lose it?
Absolutely. Go out while you're on top. I don't want to overstay my welcome. I don't want to be one of these jerk offs that people are always like, dude, when's he going to lose this thing? So it was, I felt like it was the right time, so, yeah.
Yeah. With that being your first championship, when you got it, did you feel a lot of pressure and fear initially having it? And then once the run started, did you feel comfortable with it and being in that spot?
To be honest, I never felt like I felt pressure in the sense of like I needed to perform and but I never felt nervous having it because I've always felt like I deserved something. I don't want to say deserve, but I always felt like something like that was like normal to me because I really like high pressure situations and everything. So yeah, like that's like the biggest thing is I really like those high pressure situations where I could, show people why I deserve to be in those spots. So it was by the end, it just felt so natural to go up on the main event and be able to main event the shows, and everything like that.
Yeah. With those main events that you have, do you have a favorite opponent that really stands out or favorite match?
From the championship run?
Yeah.
I would either say the John Silver match or even the Miro match. One of the two, like for sure. Like I had a lot of fun, and the John Silver match was fun for me because we both like came from the independents where we didn't have like a real name, and being in the main event on Dynamite and then giving us the spotlight right that night, and then us to be able to deliver meant a lot. So just showing everybody that AEW could just have newer people in those spots.
Did you find at the time when you were TNT champion and we were going into Revolution and you hooked up with Sting and you were in that feud with Team Taz, did you find it hard to juggle that program with being TNT champion?
Yeah, it was hard. It was so hard because I want to defend it every week, but it's hard to do that when you're trying to balance out everything with Team Taz. So once Team Taz was over, that's when I was off to the races with defending it every single week, but it was hard to balance it at times for sure,
And when we saw you in those main event matches, there was so much talk about how high your ratings were, especially with younger people. Do you think in the past wrestling's had a hard time like giving something for younger viewers that they connect to, especially the more alternative youth culture?
Maybe a little bit. I just know for me personally, growing up, there wasn't a whole lot of wrestlers that like spoke to me as humans.
Yeah.
They're entertaining, but I'm saying like beyond that, like, I got like a lot of my inspirations from like skateboarding or punk rock and everything like that. But so I felt like a younger crowd could kind of see something that I was doing and the fact that I was kind of doing it my way and, still skateboarding full time. So I felt like a lot of people were like, oh, like this guy's interesting. So it's cool to connect to those people because like I have a lot of friends that have fallen out of love with wrestling over the years that are really big into the skate culture. And then they see what AEW is doing, like, oh, this is interesting. So it's fun.
So with you being paired up with Sting, when that was first brought to you, like I've heard you talk about being someone that's maybe more of a loner and like getting dressed in a boiler room. So when it came to being paired with someone, even with it being Sting, what was your initial reaction? Did you think that would work for you?
I knew it would work just because we have the same sense of like we're here for business and we're here to like really just focus on business. Like, Sting's not going to come up to me and be like, guess what? And like gossip and stuff like that. So it feels natural to be around the veterans because they don't have time in their headspace to even care about any of that stuff. If we put me with a younger guy, I'd probably headbutt the wall because I can't think. But yeah, so I don't know. It felt very natural, Sting, especially when we started just like communicating about like stories and stuff like that. It was awesome.
Do you remember maybe a conversation you had where you maybe told him one of your ideas that he got it, and then you kind of knew that you two would vibe and click to be able to do this on camera?
Yeah, I remember the first time I met him, actually, the very first time before I even like presented something together, like as one. He was watching my promos, and the very first thing he said was just like, I wouldn't change a thing. I like everything. So from that point on, I would just like come up with these ideas and send them to him, and he'd be like totally down. And, you know, we like just the entrance video for Revolution that we did before we like made our entrance where we were just skating through the city. Like he was super hyped on that. Yeah. So it was cool to like meet somebody that wasn't going to have like pushback for anything. So,
yeah. Did it surprise you how open-minded he was? Did you have any kind of prejudgment just with him being a veteran?
No, the thing is, I think he really likes like, you know, cinematic stuff, and like he really likes outside the box thinking when it comes to wrestling. So I felt like he kind of was like, okay, like I know I'm in good hands with this guy because he doesn't even, I don't know, he just blows up people and plays with flamethrowers.
Speaking of the cinematic match you had at Revolution, and you had so much to do with putting that together and the filming of it, did you, before cinematic matches became a thing in the pandemic, had you thought about how a match could be presented in that style?
No, my whole thing is I just wanted it to be as serious as possible. Yeah. I didn't want to do a comedy skit halfway through. Like that was like my biggest challenge. Is just presenting it in a way where like I'm like, okay, like this isn't corny, anything like that. So
do you think that once we have, you know, full crowds and everything's back, do you think there's still a place for cinematic matches? Do you think there's something that can kind of help move the business forward maybe?
Yeah, I think there's always a place for those in special occasions for sure. Like I really feel like they're special if you use them like every couple, like, you know, like maybe like once every like 8 months or something like that, if not less. So I think there's always room for them.
Mm-hmm. And when you were filming that, like obviously you had Sting on board. How on board were Brian Cage and Ricky with your ideas, and were they happy to go along with it?
Yeah, Ricky was the best person I would say to partner up with something like that. He was totally like, you know, spitballing ideas and hype throughout the whole thing. So it was really cool because those shoots, you know, if you're not all working as a unit, the thing can really fall off the rails. Yeah. So yeah, it was interesting, but I had a good time, and I think everybody had a good time, even though we stayed up all night and shot at like 4 a.m, but like it was having the time of my life. So.
Mm-hmm. And so obviously Tony would have let you kind of go with your ideas. Have you ever had an idea that Tony has said no to so far?
Probably, I don't know yet. Like, to be honest, like there hasn't been anything, but he just wants me to be safe as possible on my own time.
Yeah.
So I know just like with certain promos, it's like they have to do that. I'm like, yeah. Kind do. I don't know. It's fun. It just keeping me safe on my outside times.
Yeah. So your match at Double or Nothing, it will be an in-ring match in Sting's first in 6 years. How has he been preparing for it, and have you been working with him to help prepare for it?
Yeah, I've been going down to his house in Texas, training, and yeah, he's not taking this lightly. He ain't taking this for like granted. You know, this is a lot for him. You know, he has a lot to prove in this match, and you know, so he's been working at it for sure. And I think both of us are super excited because it's gonna be a full blown crowd at that place. So it's gonna be a good one.
you excited about making that entrance with a full crowd and Sting finally getting in front of a full crowd as well?
Oh, absolutely. It's got to be such a mind, some screws with the mind. I feel like when someone of his like caliber, that his whole career was these insane like crowd reactions, essentially coming during the pandemic when there was real big reactions. Like he had some good, like real good reactions when he first came, but that was like half the building. So if we can pack that out, I could only imagine what's going to follow. So.
Yeah. So your opponent, Scorpio's guy in Ethan Page, you have the history with Ethan Page that we've seen alluded to on Dynamite. But when Page came in, how quickly did you decide that he was going to be the person you were going to work with again?
I even before he came in, and I needed to work with this guy. Even he came in, so we have a long history, and I want to tell that story on national television.
Yeah, do you see it now as like a clean slate because not all the AEW fans will have known everything, or do you feel like you're building on the history?
In a way, I feel like it's definitely a clean slate, but it just depends on if the people want to go back and like look it up on YouTube or something like that, and they can understand like exactly what he's talking about. But for the most part, I like clean slates. It's just because like I know that I have, and I don't know if you can tell, like there's like a dent in my head right here.
Yeah,
that's from Ethan, and I got a metal elbow like right here. It's from Ethan, so it's like it's constantly a reminder to all the people that even though we're working with a clean slate, there's like a history. So physically, I show it. So.
Yeah. So you're known, of course, for such a unique look and the face paint. How long does it take you to get ready with the face paint?
It takes me about 3 minutes to put the face paint on.
Really?
And yeah, like I got it down to a science now. I got it down to where I can do it like in cars, airplanes, wherever. So
what was it that initially made you sign with AEW? When you were on the indies, did you always see yourself signing with a big company?
Yeah, I want it anywhere that like had like weekly TV, only for storyline reasons, because it's so hard to tell your story on the independents. So hard, and there's just so much different stuff going on, and to have weekly TV meant everything. So if I could get with that, with a place that is like, okay, cool, like we'll let you, jump off ladders with Tony Hawk and skateboard, like I'm like, okay, sign me up. So.
Yeah. With all the background you have in filmmaking and all your outside interests as well, what is it that you think makes wrestling the medium that you want to tell your stories in?
Because it's like it's in a league of its own. I call it like physical Broadway for people that don't really understand it. It checks all the boxes of the rush I get for doing like fun physical stuff, and then it also gets like the cinematography of like them shooting the matches and like close-ups and like whatever, and then also the promos and everything like that. It's like in a league of its own. Because when I was like skateboarding all the time, I would have a crazy wipeout and there'd be like one person there and they'd be like, "You good, bro?"
Yeah.
When I do it in a wrestling arena, like people, like you hear like thousands of people losing it. So it's cool, helps me through a little bit more instead of, limping home on a skateboard.
What's been the reaction from other people in the skateboarding community that aren't wrestling fans to what you do?
They're hyped. The fact that like, I still skateboard and it's not like a cash grab or a gimmick. They really like the fact that I still like every week I'm going at it and I'm working on like, skateboarding consistently. So they know that like I didn't just like whatever you say, sell out.
Yeah.
That got there. But I've had my fair share of slams on a skateboard since being here. And I gotta watch my ass.
Is there any stunt that you've done, whether it be skateboarding or a bump that you've taken that you regret because of how bad it was?
No, not yet.
No.
I always tell myself the moment it gets to that point outside of the ring,
Mhm.
I'll like pull myself back. I ain't gonna like show up to work with like a broken back just from like,
Yeah.
but but at the most part, like my comfort zones are like, what's insane to somebody else could be a walk in the park to me. So
Mhm.
that's why I got people. It's like, guys, I know what I'm doing. Just let me do it.
With everything being your idea, like, do you feel the extra worry and pressure that if it's bad or if it sucks, it's on you? Whereas like other guys, if they're just told to do something, they can say, well, it wasn't me.
No, the only time I would ever feel like that though is if I asked for like a lot of money, like a budget. But
Yeah.
I don't have money. Like I literally film my stuff for free, and I'm just like, just pay the camera guy who edits my guy Max Yoder, who just me and him work together, and it's been like that since the start. Otherwise, I feel weird if I'm like, yo, I'm gonna need like $5,000 for this or this, because then that's when I feel like if that segment doesn't deliver, they're like, yo, jerk off, you're like spending money like there. So otherwise, I'm like, you can't really argue when dude just went out for free and
Yeah,
blew up.
that's true. Something that maybe might surprise people about you is that you did some amateur wrestling before in school.
Mm-hmm.
And did you do football as well? And
Yeah, football.
I'm just wondering, like, what was that before skateboarding, and kind of what kind of a person were you then? Were you someone that fit in more when you were doing these things, or had you not found yourself?
I liked, playing amateur wrestling and football were like lots of fun. But the moment I found a skateboard, it showed me like complete freedom
Yeah.
because, football was like, it was fun when it was like in elementary school
Mhm.
and middle. But then the moment it started being like more and more serious, the more I felt like I couldn't connect on a level with everybody, and I needed to kind of do my own thing. And that's why I did, skateboarding, because you don't have a coach; it's just you and your board. You don't have to like. There's no team, so it's fun.
Mhm. And growing up in Seattle, like, to people not from Seattle, it's such a legendary place with music and culture. How much did being from there, how much has that shaped you as a person?
Probably a lot. I would say a lot. It's just all that time where it's raining outside. Uh, it really forces you to like really think of how to have fun or do stuff, and that's where like all the filmmaking came in and everything like that. There's just a lot of like time where you're like, dude, I have to really think, or if I don't start thinking soon, I'm gonna lose my damn mind. So, and a lot of people aren't out there. So, have you seen that movie The Ring where the girl jumps out of the well?
Uh-huh.
So like that movie was shot in Seattle, and that whole movie's so dark and gloomy, and that's exactly how Seattle is probably like 9-10 months out of the year.
Yeah.
So that like it's not a good place to be for extended time.
So after Double or Nothing, what do you see next for you, and your relationship with Sting, and kind of how far do you plan ahead of thinking where's next to go storyline wise and creatively?
Man, I go wherever the wind takes me with these
Yeah.
things. Everything's so unpredictable that I just see myself keep like breaking down barriers and trying to connect to more people in other forms of entertainment and bring them into the wrestling world. That's like my biggest goal, is to transcend wrestling and just make this thing bigger than it already is. So,
What's the like coolest opportunity that you've got since making it onto TNT and being on Dynamite outside of
uh,
it?
probably I would say, filming with guys like Tony Hawk or Steve-O. And I set that up myself, but obviously like the name value of wrestling for TNT helps with that. They just started following me on the Instagram. So I was just like hitting them up. I'm like, yo, I'm trying to like, you know, incorporate what I like into this world of wrestling. And then they're like, yeah, I'm totally down to help out. So those are some awesome opportunities I was afforded.